Hi guys, for those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Nikkita Holder and I am one of Canada's top 100-meter female hurdlers. Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about courage and what it means to be courageous. I have a few stories and then I have a passage that I would love to share with you guys on being courageous. So the two stories that I have, the first one being being a mom and an athlete. In October of 2013, I became a mom to an amazing little boy named Cadence. And after he was born, I knew that I wanted to still run track. However, I didn't know how I was going to do it, how it was going to be possible physically, how it was going to be possible mentally, and just there was a lot surrounding it. But I put my mind to it, and I decided, despite the fear that I had, that I was going to come back and be stronger and better than ever. So I got as much support from my family and friends, and I persevered through it. I pushed through it, and I came out on top. I was able to come back. The first nationals that I went to after having my son, I came 5th, which for me was amazing. And the year after that, I was 3rd, and that was even more amazing. And then it just kept getting better from then on. I think having my son and balancing being a mom and being a track athlete was a huge transition for me. I had gone from only having to worry about myself, me being a priority, to now worrying about my son being a priority, and that was a little rocky. But I think I did a good job at it, and I think I was pretty courageous in the acts of doing it. My second story, I would have to say, would be my participation in the 2016 Olympic Games this past summer in Brazil. Going forth to Brazil was a different experience for me this time around, as I had gone to 2012 Olympics before. I knew this time that it was all business. I wanted to be on the podium, and I was going to train to be on the podium and train for nothing less. Being on the podium was my ultimate goal. I didn't care if I got silver, bronze, or gold. I just wanted to be on the podium with a medal around my neck. Unfortunately, it didn't go as planned. I barely made it to my semifinal race. I got in by the skin of my teeth. I had a little bit of a bad race, and by the grace of God, I was able to get into the semifinals. And in my semifinal race, I ended up falling at the second last hurdle, and that ended my chances of making the final, which then ended my chances of possibly going on the podium and getting me a medal. I remember the race like it was yesterday. I, got out of the blocks, and I had a little bit of trouble out of the blocks. I hit the first hurdle, and it actually should have knocked me down that time, but I regrouped, and I went from being last to 3rd by the 9th hurdle, and by the 9th hurdle, I was moving too fast. I was way too close to the hurdle, and I ended up hitting it, and it took me down. It took me down pretty bad. I'm actually really surprised that I wasn't more hurt than I actually was. But I remember lying on the ground in that split second before I jumped up, saying to myself, oh my gosh, I'm on the ground. Like, Nikkita, you're on the ground. And, my initial reaction was to jump up and cross that finish line, and that's what I did. I jumped up and I crossed that finish line, and the next thing that I had to do was to congratulate all the other girls who had finished the race and made it to the final. It was just something that was innate in me to do. And at that moment, I would have never in a million years thought that was a courageous act. It was just something that I had to do, and I did it. But looking back, it definitely was something courageous. Nobody trains to go to the Olympics for 4 years to fall flat on their face in front of thousands and thousands and thousands of people. Nobody does that. Nobody wants to do that. I failed miserably, But in those moments of failing, I was the most proud of myself. It, failing that way taught me so much about who I was and how strong I was and how courageous I was to go out there and, give this sport that I've given my life to, give it everything that I had, and to fail while doing it after I've trained for so long. I remember getting off the line and being like, this is not the end for me. And with hurdling, falling is definitely a possibility in every race that you have, but you kind of have to have no fear and go forth and do it anyways. And that goes for many other sports as well. So I just, I got off the line, and I remember saying to myself, well, 2020, here you come, because I wasn't sure if I was going to retire after 2016 or not, but I decided, no, that's not going to be me. I'm not ending with a fall, and I'm going to go forth and push even harder for the next 4 years, and I'm going to make sure I make it on the podium in 2020. And, I still was contemplating and thinking about it, and it wasn't until I got home and my parents picked me up from the airport with my son, and I was in the car, and there's a Fergie song, I think it's called London Bridges, and she's like, from London to Tokyo. And for me, right then and there, it clicked. London Games in 2012 was my first Olympic Games, and Tokyo 2020 is pretty much, it might be my last, who knows, but it was a sign for me that I had to keep going. And I used to sing that song all the time, and I'm gonna fight through my age, fight through being an older hurdler, and fight through all the things that are against me, being a mom and all of that, and make it to the 2012 Olympics. So that's my little spiel on courage. But before I leave you guys, I wanted to leave you with a quote that I read a couple years ago. And sorry, I guess that's what happens when you do this video outside on such a beautiful day. But yeah, I wanted to leave you with a quote that I admired and I actually have up on my wall. So a couple years ago, I read the book Daring Greatly by Brené Brown, and it's an amazing book. It talks about how to have the courage to be vulnerable, transform the way you live, love, parent, and lead your life. And one of the first things I read in her book was a passage by Theodore Roosevelt. He spoke about a citizen in an arena, and I have a little excerpt from it that I'll read to you guys. And I hope that this sticks with you, and maybe one or two more people can write it on their wall and post it on their wall as well. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how strong the man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The critic belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly. Theodore Roosevelt. So I leave you guys with that, and I hope that all of you be bold, be courageous, and live your life daring greatly. Thank you. Bye.